Last night, my son said to me, "Are you going to be doing anything with technology tomorrow, Dad?" Because he always worries about the fact that I'm not very good with technology. So I don't know whether I'm one of the best people to talk to you about this particular topic, artificial intelligence, but I'm going to do my best. It's great to be here. When dinosaurs roamed the earth, I was born here in Kuala Lumpur. I'm not going to tell you how many years ago, but it was a long, long time ago. So it's always really great to be back in Malaysia. Without any further ado, I know I've got about 10 minutes to sort of scamper through this particular topic, and we've heard some great things about AI so far, and I hope to be able to build on that a little. So I'm indebted to PricewaterhouseCoopers for producing this graphic, which shows us some of the mega trends in technology that we're seeing right now. A couple of years ago, if you had done a Google search of the word digital and the word disruption, you'd have found that they were both within the top 10 of Google searches. Within the last year, those two have come together as digital disruption, and they figure as one of the top 5 Google search items now. We've heard a lot about a number of these different items, and what I wanted to share with you is a piece of work that is currently ongoing where we're trying to do, that is my team and I, we're trying to do a bit of work to understand where emotional intelligence actually intersects with artificial intelligence. And to that end, we've produced this little 9-box grid. For convenience sake, what we've done is we've taken everything that is about being digitally savvy, and we've called that AI. And you can see that on the bottom axis. For everything to do with being human, we've decided to refer to that as EI, so emotional intelligence. And so what you can see from this chart is an attempt to ask the question, where are we as organizations in terms of how digitally savvy we are, but also how human are we? Now, I've kind of posited the notion that a great place to work would be the kind of workplace where we are digitally savvy, where we are digitally progressive, but also where we have exemplary leadership and where employee engagement is at a high level. So the top right-hand box arguably would be the box that we would like to aspire to be in, where we have a great balance of digital and human. And the purpose for making this was really to encourage a conversation within organizations to ask people, where do you think you are in terms of your organization? If you were to plot your organization on this 9-box grid, where would it be? The other thing we've done with this grid is to ask audiences around Southeast Asia, so in Kuala Lumpur, in Jakarta, also in Ho Chi Minh City, to tell us what kind of companies they would put into these different quadrants. And the reason why we ask them that is that it's important to recognize that as we become digitally more savvy, we need to make sure that we do not inadvertently overlook the human aspect. So if we look at the bottom right-hand box, which is called tough and transactional, I'm sure all of us in this room could think of a very large American organization that is digitally extremely savvy, but if you look at their human capital practices, you might have some serious questions to ask about that. And so as we look at other organizations, I might cite also Airbnb. Airbnb is one of those organizations that has disrupted the hospitality and hotel landscape around the world. And we also have to ask, what are the human effects of Airbnb on, for example, local supply chains and local provision of accommodation? So, for example, in the city of Barcelona, they've had to take affirmative action against Airbnb to ensure that their local economy continues to be productive and can survive. I recently showed this chart to a company and invited the company employees to indicate where they thought they were on this chart. And what was interesting was that a number of the younger people said, we would put ourselves in the getting there box. We're not perfect, we're making some progress on digital savviness, and we're not bad when it comes to being human. However, there were a couple of senior leaders in that room as well. And what they said was, you guys may think that we're getting there, but for my money, this particular leader said, I think we're happy, but losing out. So we could be an organization where engagement levels are very high, we're happy, but we are blissfully ignorant of the opportunities that AI offer to us. So I don't want you to get the impression that I am in any way anti-AI, quite the opposite, in fact. But what I'd be advocating for is something that is a balance of the two. And to that end, if you imagine emotion intelligence, this is what it takes to be human, and then we balance that with artificial intelligence, where they overlap, and this is my suggestion to you all, where they overlap is where we might find EH, or expert humans. So what do I mean by expert humans? Well, a number of you may know about the work of the American motivation guru, Daniel Pink. Daniel Pink did some good work in terms of identifying what it is that motivates human beings. And the three things that he came up with were purpose, so the work has to be meaningful, autonomy, people like to have the independence to be able to do their work. And the third thing is mastery. Human beings like to be the masters of the work that they do. They like to be recognized as being competent and skillful in what they do. And I do wonder whether, with the advent of robots, and this is, if you like, the human face of artificial intelligence, at a very subliminal level, what we perhaps perceive certain digital advances to be is an attack on our ability to be masters as humans. And that's something that I think we probably need to work on in the years to come. How can we still maintain this ability for human beings to feel that they can be masters of the work that they do? So my basic thesis, therefore, is that we're going to have a mixture of human elements and also digital elements. I'm just going to scamper through these very quickly in the interest of time and perhaps dwell on one or two of them a little bit more. First and foremost, I do believe we're entering a period where empathy and compassion are going to be incredibly important. Now, I work with a lot of engineers, scientists, doctors, financial services sector folks, and I can tell you that if I try to talk to them about empathy and compassion, it's actually quite a hard sell. But I believe that compassion in particular is something that not only can benefit human beings, but done well, it can benefit organizations as well. The reason why I've put empathy and compassion is that while empathy is a very good thing, empathy doesn't necessarily imply action, whereas compassion does. So I think as human beings, we need to think about how we can take action to alleviate the suffering of others. In terms of augmentation, I think this is where AI and EI come together very well. Humans are going to benefit enormously from the augmentative advantages that AI will give us. I think it's going to throw up some very important considerations around ethics. Amazon, very recently, decided to abandon an algorithm which it had created to help in recruitment and selection of people to join the company. And the reason why they rejected the algorithm is that because they discovered it had a gender bias, and they decided that it was unusable. And the reason for mentioning this is to sound a very cautionary note around any kind of slavish approach to algorithms. If you run a sales team that is based mainly on algorithmic projections, you need to be very careful that you don't miss the changes in consumer taste. So my last point is, of all of these things, and I'll be talking about this a little bit more later on, the creation of safe spaces. It's very important that as leaders and as young leaders, you contribute to the creation of safe spaces in your organizations. Without safe spaces, it's not possible to be as innovative and creative as we could possibly be. So with that, I'll say one last thing about sustainability. That has come up in the conference thus far. We're seeing a resurgence of sustainability driven by young people, which is absolutely wonderful to see. So all of these things under EI and AI will be, as I say, underpinned by sustainability. So thank you very much for your kind attention, and enjoy your lunch.